All right. I think we are back for yet another exciting episode of the Ultra Crude Podcast.
Mhm.
That's the official sound of the podcast happening. And I'm excited to be here. I am, of course, John. You are, of course, the fabulous, as always, the sacred midwife of ultra running, the mother of the Murder Mile, the mayor of Midstate. That's backwards the other way around. Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Gosh dang it, I hate it when you do that. You know better. BMFJ, quit BMFJing around.
Okay.
What's that? This thing is on my face. Can we
Yeah.
get rid of that? What's going on there?
Let's just start everything.
We're good. We're good. All right. We're in the studio, the Murder Mile Productions, Mid-State Mile, after just an exciting week. A little divide and conquer this week, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of divide and conquer.
Yeah. Well, was there a lot?
Well, I mean, yeah.
I feel like
pretty
we
much
worked
did
together on
everything.
some things.
Yeah, but I mean, we were pretty much separate all weekend, even down to our running.
Yeah, we'll get to that. That was a fun time. So what did you had Snaketail this weekend? Tell us a little bit more about Snaketail. We rushed it on the back end. How'd the weekend go?
Oh, it was awesome. It was perfect running weather. We were out at the farm community.
The farm community, not our farm community. We often call the place where we run the farm and host races.
Yeah.
This is a different farm. Okay.
Anything else you want to say? Would you like me to finish?
Wow. It's going to be one of those. All right. This is what's happening this afternoon.
The farm community
Mm-hmm.
out in Summertown.
Tell us more.
There was a giant migration of hippies in the 70s to the middle of nowhere, Tennessee.
Dirty hippies?
I don't know. I wasn't on the buses, but it was like 30 buses, load of people. And now they've built this incredible, cool little community out there. And it's also right next to the preserve, which is the Swan Conservation Trust. They preserved 1,500 acres out there, preserving the headwaters of the Big Swan River and the Big Bixby. It's absolutely beautiful. And their whole mission is conservation and keeping our green spaces green. Tennessee has lost 1.5 million acres of forest and farmland to development.
That's a lot.
We're on track to lose 2 million by 2027. So it's all these land trusts working together to keep these spaces intact. And, you know, when someone wants to either sell their land or do something, they work to get the grants to either buy the land or get the land donated. So they've done incredible work up on the Western Highland Rim Trail. So everything benefited the Conservation Trust. That's what this is for. It partners with the farm because the preserve and the trust is all based out of the farm. So you start at the Farm Community Center and run out. We have a 13-mile loop. Actually, no one showed up for the 50-mile. It was weird. It was really weird.
No, I didn't know what you're on.
I don't know. No runner started. We had several.
Yeah, this is what it is.
We had several
registered.
Thank you. Last year, I think we had like 13 or 14. This year, a handful. And then we had a marathon, half marathon, 6-miler, 5K, and a kid's 1-mile fun run.
Well, something for everybody out there, it sounds like. And you're running on the commune itself.
Yeah, you go out through there and throughout the preserve. And the preserve is not open to people. They have all these trail systems out there, but it is not open to the public. You have to be a member of the community or know someone. And so this is an opportunity to open up the preserve and share the trails with people.
Yeah, well, and get people interested in running in areas where they wouldn't otherwise be able to run in them, right?
Yeah, unless you go to one of the Swan Conservation Trust hikes or events that they do, you're not allowed out there.
Well, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, preserving green spaces in Timberland. I mean, these are the places that we run and operate in and want to be a part of. But yeah, they're getting snatched up. So I think it's great. You know, we take advantage of these spaces to put on races and recreation and go out and explore the wilderness. But they're gobbling them up. The world is encroaching on nature.
Absolutely.
Look around Nashville. They're clear cutting every hillside you can see and putting buildings and houses on it right and left every day. It just gets gobbled up.
Yeah, there were parts of the preserve that had actually been heavily logged, and I think it was the people of like around the Summertown, Hohenwald area realized after like 10,000 acres or something had been clear cut that they were like, whoa, these logging companies, like, we can't be doing this. And, you know, people don't care until they can see it.
Right. Yeah. Until it affects you, it's generally not an issue.
Yep. So it's really cool to see how the community has rallied around that. It was great. I think we had about 100 runners, and we had a little DJ this year. And
DJ.
afterwards, runners got treated to the
Gotta beat the beat up.
or not.
Gotta beat the beat up.
Okay. So after the race, the farm was actually hosting their first market day of the season. Market day, I think now it's called Artisans Day, but it's basically their farmers market. So there are people that grow things or make things. They bring all of that, in their little center up there next to the farm store.
Cool.
So it's a pretty cool
Yeah,
little
that's a
thing.
pretty cool. I ran it last year, and it was genuinely a beautiful course. One of my favorite things about that race in particular is drinking coffee out of a real coffee cup before the race started.
Yeah.
They had the little concessions, little breakfast thing going on in there in their little farm community center. And obviously, these people are very, green oriented. A lot of, there's no reason for disposable cups in this community. And just a real coffee cup is like the best thing ever. I'm like, yes, this is amazing.
Yeah, water in a real glass.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. So you get treated right out there. You
It,
get treated right. They had baked goods. I think everybody got like an individual like
no bake cookie.
gourmand,
Gourmet.
yeah, gourmet, artisanal hippie cookie. It was fantastic.
Yeah, James, the president of the Swan Conservation Trust, his wife actually makes those.
Oh, that's even better then. They're made with love.
They are.
Yeah, so that's a great. Yeah, be on the lookout for that. I'm sure we'll do it again next year. You'll do it again next year. Maybe I can be a part of it too. I missed you this weekend. I was down at Rim Runner, another local mid-state race down outside of Sewanee, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about that.
I had a buddy running the 50. He ran 50. And it was a great day. It was his first 50. Went out there not really knowing what to expect. I knew what to expect because I've done this before. He's not done this before. I'd never been on the trail before. This was like his first real trail race to be in, right? We were having dinner, pizza the night before. We were having dinner. He's like, "Hey, can you explain aid stations to me? What's the deal with that?" I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah. I should have prepped you on this a little bit more." Here's the deal. There's probably going to be a pop-up out in the middle of the woods somewhere. You'll run up to it. They'll have water and electrolytes and little snacks on the table. Take what you want. They'll say, "Hey, do you need anything? Can we help you?" And you hand them a water bottle. They'll fill it up. He's like, they'll do that. I was like, "Of course they will." Yeah, you got to feel them out. Typically, if they're behind the table, they'll just be like, "Hey, water's over here."
Yeah.
Or can I get you something? It's maybe off the table, the quesadillas and whatnot, bacons. But if they're out in front of the table, and to say, "Hey, can I help you?" You can 100% hand these people pretty much everything, and they are very excited to see you, and they are very excited to get that done.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was great. He had a great day. Ran long, ran really strong. Had a good, the ebbs and flows of headspace as one does running by yourself for 50 miles. Couldn't be more proud of our buddy Phil that ran this weekend. Fantastic, good race. I think it's Green Tunnel events. They put on a few others. But yeah, I had a good time. Missed you. Obviously, I took off Friday afternoon. You went Friday afternoon in another direction.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got home early Sunday morning. And you were already sleepy face.
I was. I decided to definitely grab some extra sleep since
Yeah,
I
you were
could.
doing princess sleeps.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, I've been up Saturday morning at like 4:15 because
Yeah, me too.
you took the blankets out of
I
the
didn't
car.
take any blankets out of the car.
You took the stadium
I
blanket.
took the stadium blanket out of the car because I was crewing somebody.
Yeah.
And when you sit down in a chair and it's 38 degrees, you're going to get a little chilly.
Yeah, I know.
That's why the blanket's in there.
I know.
It's not a Becca sleepy blanket.
I didn't think about a back and sleeping blanket, and yeah, it was really cold. So I just had
it got cold this weekend.
Yeah, I just had 2 of your jackets to crawl under.
It's a good thing I got those jackets in there.
Yeah.
I almost took one of those jackets. I was like, I'm
Well,
going to
I'm
need
glad
that
you
jacket.
didn't, because I forgot my sleeping mat, and there was I was like, how are there no blankets in here? Then I
forgot the sleeping mat too?
Yeah.
Good
gracious. I couldn't really pack anything else in the car. So
yeah.
I don't know where I would have put it if I did remember it. So there was that. But I mean, it was fine. I just woke up really uncomfortable, and I was like, you know what? It's 4:15. I'm sure I can
get up and get after it.
Yeah, I went ahead and set up the aid station.
Were they making coffee already?
No, me and Leah got that started. We got the hot water going and all that. But we didn't do that till like 5. But yeah, I mean, I had things to do and stuff to get in order, so it was fine.
Can never start the day too early when you're hosting an event.
If you have plans to drive afterward, you sure can.
Yeah,
I was
I
pretty
mean,
tired.
yeah, that's not a thing. You can definitely start a day too early,
Yeah.
especially if you're going to be hosting an event all day long.
Yeah.
But you did great. I did great. We all did great. Everybody did great this weekend.
Sure did.
It was fantastic.
Heck yeah. It was perfect weather. It was absolutely
Yeah,
perfect
I mean, it
weather.
got chilly. It was cold Friday night, especially. It got down into the 30s again, which I gotta be honest, I'm getting real tired of seeing.
Oh, it's less than fun. I'm ready to roll on into heat and humidity.
Well, let's give it a couple more weeks. I got some things to do. I'd rather not be that hot or humid for.
And then we just continued to go our separate ways, even on our runs yesterday.
Yeah, we ran separately yesterday. I need to get some miles in. You need to get some miles in. There was a brief discussion about running together. That was quickly tabled. We wanted to do different things. We run together a lot. We run apart from one another a lot. We run for different reasons. I kind of knew what I wanted out of the day, and it wasn't what you wanted out of the day. You wanted something, and it wasn't what I wanted out of the day. So
No,
tell us about your run and your run venture and all the fun things that you encountered on the Becca run.
well, what Becca needed was a run with one, no feedback about anything that was going on.
Not going to get that if you run with me.
That's,
I like to. I'm observant. I see what's going on, and then I usually talk about it.
yeah, I wanted none of that. I had had a
So
lot.
you were apart from. We were separated for like apart from one another for 2 days, and yet that was not enough time to be apart.
I had done a lot of people and a lot of answering questions and interactions, and all I wanted was to be in nature and have quiet and just be immersed in it, which is I run and I get outside because I love it and it brings me joy. Going to the parks where there's a lot of dumb people that do stupid
That's not
shit.
always joyful.
No, it's so draining. And when you have to go through hours of that, of listening to other people's bullshit, off leash dogs, the parking situation, or just overall people's like inability to be cognizant that other people exist. Like that's not why I'm in nature. And it really takes something that I love and I love running and I love being out there in it. And it makes it miserable and it
Mm.
makes it a stressor. And I don't want to do it. And that's, you know, part of why I always want to invite people out to, our farm and out to the murder mile. Like that way, if you want to get away from all that, you can just have peace and you don't have to worry about interacting with anyone else. You can literally just turn your brain off and be like, oh, okay, I enjoy this. Not, oh, watch out for this person, watch out for that person, this person's a fucking asshole. Someone with the Bluetooth speakers coming down the trail.
Whoa, whoa! Really called out the Bluetooth speakers. And it, all right, here's the deal. It's that time again where these people are out. I have been guilty of this. I've started running with music. I got the jawbone, the Shocks headphones that are not in my ear holes, so I can hear what's going on. It's working for me. I like it. I enjoy it. But I've listened to music on speaker before, and I think there's a time and a place for it where it's acceptable, and there's some things you need to do. I was out in the middle of nowhere. I was the only person. I'd not seen anyone else that day. And I thought, you know what? I'm wrapping this up. I'm gonna throw some jams on.
Hmm.
Didn't have the headphones. Put the music on my phone and just let it rip.
Yeah.
Cruising. I saw somebody up ahead. I immediately turned my music off.
I turn it down. Like
Yeah, I just hit the pause button.
when I go out on the greenway, same thing.
Oh, you do it on the greenway.
I do it on the greenway.
Okay.
That which if it's crazy busy, I won't because I'm constantly having to
Yeah, I
turn
mean,
it down at a pause.
busy,
But there's lots of times when I just run over to the park or run over to the
yeah.
greenway, and especially running through the neighborhoods, I'm like the only one. So I just turn it on down and go on about my day. I don't leave it blaring. No one needs to know what I'm listening to.
Yeah, I mean, I thought these guys out there, backpacking, hiking into camp for the evening, did not want to hear, my Waylon Jennings or whatever it was I
Yeah.
was listening to. But there's time and a place, and there's some, there just isn't anything more obnoxious than Bluetooth speakers. I had a guy behind me for miles with his Bluetooth speaker,
Yeah, you can't do that.
and it was just like ebb and flow, ebb and flow, ebb and flow, ebb and flow. So, and it was so loud, and he was far enough behind me that there was a girl right on my heels that I had no idea was there. I could not hear her footsteps over this dude's techno bump. whatever it was he was listening, which is not the appropriate music to be listening to on a Bluetooth speaker. If you are going to listen to music on a Bluetooth speaker,
Oh, the people who are doing it loud,
it
and
was loud.
it's always the worst music.
It,
It's the
yeah,
worst playlist.
gosh.
And it is usually some shit that no one has ever heard of. And it's not even something you can sing along to. It's you can't even pretend to like it. And I agree, there's a time and a place for that. But if you are in a race and you are around people,
That's not the time or the place. Now I will say, one of our friends, we were in a race, and they had a Bluetooth speaker going. It was good jams. I'll give credit where due. It was good music. I appreciate it. But like, who is this? But again, it was a sparsely populated loop, and it was dark.
Yeah.
Like, really no harm, no foul there. They were moving quick. It was, soon in and out of earshot. Not the biggest deal.
But if you're one of those people that's you can see someone's headlight or you're hanging around them,
Yeah.
you turn it
Yeah,
down.
it wouldn't have been nearly as obnoxious had the dude ran by me.
Yeah.
And just kept it moving. Like, that's one thing. But like, for miles, come on, dude.
Oh, there's a guy at Pinhoti.
Pinhoti?
Yeah.
I like to call it Pinhoti.
I know you do. But McClanahan got us because he was like behind us. It was super
You're
loud.
just name dropping now.
Oh yeah, but she went like broke on it, and it was awesome. And he, like, we had politely said things for multiple miles, like, "Hey, would you mind like turning that down a little bit?" Or, "Hey, if you want to listen to that, you want to like go on up there."
No, he didn't want to. He didn't want to go on. He wanted to run. Let's go.
And then it just basically became, "Hey, your music fucking sucks, man.
That
Turn
is the
that shit
crude
off."
portion of the Ultra Crude
Like,
podcast.
It was like, "Hey, that's really obnoxious. So either fucking run faster or turn it off because don't want to hear it anymore."
Did that work at all?
It did.
Okay,
It
yeah.
solved the problem.
See,
We had spent a couple hours politely navigating,
you
and
got
then
to
it
be
just got
polite.
to the point that we're
Sometimes
done with
politeness doesn't work, but you got to be polite. Yeah, so it's that season. Just be aware that those people are out there.
And if we are friends with you, and you are one of those people, please don't be that person with it.
I am going to judge you. I am going to judge you. When I started running, like, I didn't know this was a faux pas. I was running the Blue Loop, and like, Nashville's got a couple like celebrity trail runners, if you will, like people like everybody knows that are really cool. And like, I saw one day on one of my first trail runs, and I had Johnny Cash blaring out my vest, and I felt it, and now I feel embarrassed by that.
You should.
I do.
You should. 100%.
Yeah, like I knew who he was, and I'm sure he didn't know me, but I was like, oh. And then I'm sure I ruined 50 feet of his run.
Probably.
Yeah. So we're all there. We make mistakes, but we learn from them and we go forward.
It's just about like being aware that there's other people in the space that you're sharing the space with, even if it's a wide open space.
Wide open spaces. They're not so wide open on trails.
No.
Here's the deal. I'm going to say something that few people have ever heard before.
Oh, I can't wait.
You were right.
Me?
You were so right. You were so right. Oh my gosh, how right you were. Because when I went to the park is my happy place to run. I love it out there. I've got one of the trails tattooed on my leg. It's my thing. And I run to train. You run to explore nature. It's not my thing. I run to get some work done because there's work to be done. And I had, like I said, I had an idea of what I wanted that run to look like. Mm-hmm. And that was it. And the parking lot was slap full of people. I got a great parking spot, by the way, right in front of the trailhead. Bingo, bingo. It was awesome. I was like, this isn't so bad. This isn't so bad. Obviously, it's busy. There's a golf course. I thought, what are you people doing? The Masters is on. Obviously, you're not real golf fans. Yeah. Like, hey, here's the thing.
If Rory won the Grand Slam,
I know he did. But here's my argument. If you like golf enough to play golf, you should be watching the Masters instead of playing golf on Sunday afternoon. Like, that's what you should be doing.
I'm going to tell you.
That's like playing a pickup game of baseball during, the ninth inning of Game 7 of the World Series.
Listen, I'm going to say this, and I mean this kind of.
I'm not ready for it at all. I don't think it's going to be either one of those things.
I think you just need to let golf fucking go. Because every time we drive by
What do you mean let it go? I don't hate golf.
No, you comment on golfers all the time, and he'll it'll be raining. He's like, who's fucking golfing today? Who loves golfing enough to stand out there in the rain? Like, we run in the
No,
rain.
I
And when it's
understand.
cold,
It's a
you go,
different
it's
thing.
cold outside today.
Yeah, no, I get it.
God,
Listen,
how much do you hate your family that you had to get out of the house so you could chase a ball into a hole? We literally
that
just
is
ran
one
in
of my
16-degree
it's one of
weather.
my theories about golfers just doing it to avoid their families.
Yeah, and some people actually really like golf.
No, I understand. I used to play golf. I played a lot of golf. I've played a lot of golf. 4 years. Anyway, it was busy. And then it wasn't so bad. I was up there, just started my jog into my run. And what do I see? But a guy, an older guy, older than me guy, but not like an old guy, with a dog. One of those little corgis, I think. You know,
Yeah, I know what a corgi is. Do you know what a corgi is?
I know that the Queen of England was famous for having corgis.
Okay.
Am I wrong about that at all?
No,
No, I'm
well,
not wrong about it. Thank you very much. We watched the show on Netflix
yeah.
about it. Anyway, and then there's somebody else coming the other direction, and the dog just darts over there. And then he got bored with that person, and he darted back, quick and close enough. Like I almost tripped over the dog. Like I stumbled. The last thing you want me doing is falling on your little dog. And he was like, and I turned around, give him one of these, like, hey guy. And he's like, oh, sorry, sorry, sorry. Well, the Joker's got a leash in his hand.
They always do.
And I was like, hey man, use the leash. And I wasn't being aggressive. I was not amped up. I was being, kind, or, I look the way I look. My demeanor is what it is.
Yeah, and you have resting bitch face, so it doesn't help.
It's not resting. It is vigilant, and it is always present. My face is on duty. It never rests. So he starts giving me gruff. And I'm like, use the leash. You have one. There's leash laws for a reason. And he's like, you made your point. You made your point. Like, I'm like, I don't know. Like, listen, the guy, I'm not being aggressive with you at all. But he was backing down quick. Called his dog over. I was like, oh, this guy's going to leash his dog. And I ran away so happy that I met a reasonable dog owner that said, oh, I guess I should put my dog on a leash. Like, this is a thing. Oh, yeah, you're right. Something bad could happen. And then I turned the corner and I looked back, and that stupid dog was like 50 feet out in front of him again, and the leash was in his hand. And I was like, my faith in humanity is now diminished incredible. I was so incensed that for my fault for believing that this dude had actually gotten my point.
Yeah,
And I thought about it for a minute. I'm like, obviously, you haven't gotten my point, and I'm going to go make sure you get it real good now. But I didn't, because I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy. I'm not, despite what my face looks like, I'm not genuinely an asshole. I'm not going to be a jerk to somebody in public for no reason, even if they're a jerk to me. Like, I'm usually going to let it go, because I'm not out there to do, I'm out there to just run. I just want to run. We don't need to get in fist fights over leashes.
Here's the thing about Percy, though. It's crazy busy.
It's crazy. And it was the busiest section of the park.
Oh, yes.
Like, if you're going to have your dog on a leash anywhere, have it on a leash in the busiest section of the park.
And that's the issue. And I know we have friends that
we've got friends that refuse to put their dog on a leash. Listen, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you too. I'm against it. I think your dog should be on a leash, unless it's in your backyard or you're out in a vacant field somewhere. There's places within the park you can put your dog off a leash and it can just wander all around that won't ever disturb another person.
Well,
go there. There's a dog park.
There are lots of parks that don't have thousands of people visiting a day, and Percy's just not it. Percy is not the place for your dog.
It's not the one for you to go on a nature walk with your dog off leash on the busiest time of the week. I'm sorry. Listen, we're both amped up about it.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying there are lots of parks throughout Williamson and Davidson County where you can be out there with just a handful of other people, or be out there and never see anyone else.
Oh, yeah.
Now, still believe your dog should be on a leash.
It sure should.
Because when something happens, that all could have been avoided.
Yeah, 100%. Well, for the safety of the dog, by the way.
There's also that. So, neither here nor there. But Percy Warner is not the park for it. It's just not. It's way too busy.
Yeah. And how often do you go for a run out there and you hear somebody calling for their dog that they can't find anymore?
Oh yeah, I got someone's dog running
Because
alongside me, and I just
they'll
let it
take
keep
off
going
through
with
the
me.
woods,
Yeah,
chasing squirrels or whatever,
which is not fair to the nature that's there in the nature park.
or the dog.
There's
If
also
you're the
that.
dog owner,
Well, I think someone's dog got loose over there for like 2 or 3 weeks
oh
because
yeah,
she didn't have it on a leash and it took off to chase something, and she kept posting, "Oh, trying to find my dog." And of course, the overwhelming response was, "If you had had it on a leash, you wouldn't
imagine
have this
that.
problem."
Listen,
And I think by
the,
the time they finally got the dog, it had just about starved to death and had been out there. It had been cold, winter. So she's like, "I can't believe what my dog endured." That's on you.
that's on
You
you.
about killed your dog because
Yep.
you couldn't put a little thing around its neck. Like,
And there's been incidences happen constantly. It will happen once a month this summer
mhm.
because somebody's dog wasn't on a leash. Anyway, you were right. Exactly all the things that you didn't want to deal with, I had to deal with.
Yeah, yeah, I saw it. It was a beautiful day.
And I knew better. I mean, I know, but listen, it sometimes just goes with it. There was also really good things out there to see and witness. People just, reading books and wildflowers and walking with newborn babies and nonsense and
Hmm.
family. Some of it was good. That was bad.
I'm
That was bad for
sorry
me.
you did that to yourself.
I did it to myself. You're right. I did.
Any other experiences that you've had?
Yeah.
If you haven't been to Percy Warner or to Nashville and watched the explosive growth the city has had, it's hard to put into perspective the level of stupidity that you see regularly at the park. Which
It-
hence is another reason why I have lost interest in going, and I
it's
would rather just go run roads. And we know how much I love traffic after running across the state, and I would
yeah.
rather deal with that than just run infuriated. I wish I could let it go sometimes. So I really genuinely do.
Well, I shook that dog thing off.
Yeah, you did.
I shook it off. Didn't didn't let it really take up, more than a couple minutes. I shake it off. That's how I do.
Okay.
I let things flow off me.
But then,
I was coming towards the end of my. And listen, I am really, honestly, pretty patient out there because often people get in places doing things where they shouldn't be doing them.
oh yeah, yeah,
You'll get horseback riders on running trails. You'll get bikes on running trails. You'll get, people get crisscross turned around out there. I understand it. I'm not
oh
hating
yeah,
on it,
it happens, and that's
and
part of
I'm
it.
I'm I'm pretty patient. But every time I say, "Hey, just so you know, this is not the place for that," because one, you should know, and sometimes you just make a mistake and you get on a trail that you shouldn't be on.
Hmm.
Like, that's fine. Now, it does irritate me a lot when people are running with dogs off leash on the horse trails that just got opened up to foot traffic
But
and then
they're
immediately got closed for running because people are out there with dogs off leash. And it expressly said from the very beginning, no dogs, because dogs, horses, not a great mix.
nope, and then got shut down to running, and you still see them doing it.
And so that grinds my gears
Oh, it may I
because
can't
I'm a bit of
even.
a rule follower.
Yeah, and as we should when we have to share a space. Like that's the idea. Like we
Yeah.
are sharing this space, and we have to like respect.
And yeah, but there's a part of me that feels like Gestapo-ish, wishing the park would come out and crack down on these people,
Well, the horse riders fought it for a long
as they
time,
should have.
and the horse trails are beautiful. I mean, we were running them
Well,
when they
people
first
have been
opened.
on there. People were doing things on running on horse trails before it was allowed to do it, but they did it under cover of darkness,
They sure did. You could see
and
that
that's the
Strava at
way.
night. Yep.
That's the way. If you want to mountain bike on running trails, and you want to horseback on running trails, and you want to run on horse trails, you do it. You with subterfuge.
Yeah.
You make it a covert mission.
Oh, absolutely.
This was not that. This was Sunday afternoon. It was the peak. Anyway, so I'm coming up. About 2 miles from the end of my run, 2.5 maybe. And there's a longish steep time. It's kind of technical at the top. It's got some bigger rocks. It's right there by Chickering. You know that one. If you start on Chickering, you go right.
Oh yeah.
That first climb. There's a horse trail intersection there, by the way, for those following along at home. And I couldn't believe my eyes. Uh, about halfway up the hill, there was a dude like carrying a small dirt bike, like a child-sized dirt bike. And I'm just like, am I seeing this with my own eyes? Obviously, he's carrying the dirt bike because the child can't dirt bike it down this hill without dying. And it levels out, and I get a little closer, and he hops on like an off road scooter thing, big knobby tires. And that dude had the nerve to beep beep his horn at me.
Wrong move, buddy.
Again, I'm pretty darn patient. And so I just go, hey, this is foot traffic only. Fair enough, right?
Yeah.
Just maybe you don't know.
And
Maybe you don't know that this is a foot traffic only trail. And he goes, oh, yeah, yeah. And I go, hey, it's foot traffic only. And he goes, he's just a little baby. And I was so astounded in that moment that I just laughed out loud and kept on trucking up the hill. Like, for one, there's nowhere in that park you can do what you're doing.
no, you cannot do that.
There is nowhere in that park where you can ride a dirt bike or an electric scooter you just can't. You can't do those things on the pavement out there.
No, I believe there's signs that
It's
say
not
it
an
is
off-road
not allowed.
park.
Nope.
You're trying to do off-roady things. Like go down to the abandoned lot at the end of your subdivision and do that nonsense there. You had to put these things in your car, maybe the back end of your cyber truck, because you look like that kind of guy, and drive to the park and then unload them and seek out mischief and mayhem. I was astounded. But what really drove it over the edge was a grown man blaming his child above all things for his malfeasance and ignorance. And I would have been if he'd have just told me to go screw myself, I'll do what I want. This is America. I wouldn't have liked it, but I respected it a heck of a lot more than his retort of, he's just a little baby. Like, how are you blaming your child for your poor decisions? What the crap is wrong with your brain?
I guess a fucking douche. Like, that's it.
And it still baffles me that this was his approach. Not like, I'm sorry, not like, yep, over my head. Nothing that would have been accommodating at all. It was just, he's a little baby. That doesn't excuse the poor decisions that you've made. You're now teaching him
to disregard rules.
To disregard rules, other people. There's just no common sense there. And here,
listen, Timmy loaded up those fucking dirt bikes, and then he drove them to the park. And then Timmy unloaded it and said, "Hey, Dad, we're gonna do this."
Yes, he's a little baby.
That's what that baby did.
Is this the future Travis Pastrana out here?
Hey,
dirt biking through the park?
That kid made it happen.
And it wasn't, I want to make a point here. It wasn't a bicycle. These people were on bicycles that went bike riding, and the kid said, can we go up this dirt trail? And he's like, yeah, let's do it, sporto. It's my weekend. It was. These were motorized dirt bikes. You can't do that anywhere out there.
No.
And I've seen people with bicycles out there, and they look like they look like they should, that they got in way over their head and they're looking for an exit. And listen, here's the thing. I'm going to harp on dudes for a second. Are you ready for this?
Oh, I'm here.
I've worked with for a few years. And this is young men in particular, and this transition is important to me because it's an important step to take in a man's life. And when they don't, this is what happens. When you fail to face the consequences of your actions, forever a child you'll remain. And I work with these dudes. I work with one right now on a weekly basis. Usually it's just a week or two out of the summer. I meet these kids who've yet, for whatever reason, they've yet to face the consequences of their actions. And you know what? That's okay. Because there is a time and a place for that. It's called childhood. The little baby didn't need to face the consequences of his actions, which is why I didn't immediately begin yelling at the child when his father blamed him for the problem. Because that's not how that works. He's a child. He didn't make this decision. You did. You need to face the consequences of it. But there's just this, listen, and it happens in runnings, and we'll get there. But when you live in a bubble and you don't have to come to terms with and deal with the consequences and repercussions of the things that you've done, you don't ever grow and you don't ever learn to take charge. Accountability comes later. That's a much bigger thing. But you never really grow up if somebody's just there going, hey, it's all right. Like if you flunk out of college and your dad's buddy has a job for you, like what does it matter? Like to you, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're, I did this. If it's your senior year and you have to go around and beg your teachers to pass you so that you can get your diploma, you're not facing the consequences of your actions. The consequence of that action is you come back. And I had a chemistry class that I did not pass chemistry my sophomore year. She passed me, probably because she was the chemistry teacher and didn't want to have me as a student again. And I respect that decision. But had I chosen a career path or an interest where chemistry would have been real handy, then I don't have that knowledge and now I can't do that thing. That's the consequence. And it's hard because you grow up and I think parents want to and rightfully should protect their children from consequences. It happens all the time. Listen, you're playing baseball with your buddies and you break the neighbor's window. You know, most good neighborhoods, good neighbors understand that's a childhood accident. It's okay. Maybe insurance covers it, maybe it doesn't. But unless you have to pay for out of your own pocket, pay for your own labor, do the window replacement yourself, you're not facing the consequences of that.
No, you just go, oh, I'm sorry,
Somebody
and then
else
someone
did.
else fixes it.
Yeah, and that's okay in the micro as a child. But what happens if you never face the consequences of these things? You grow into an adult that then blames a freaking child for you being a freaking idiot.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure if you zoom out and look at that dude's day to day, there's a lot of things that he's not facing the consequences of.
I'd agree with
And
that.
I've had it. And listen, I've had it in my life. I'm sure you can think of a time or two where you didn't face the consequences of your actions, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It happens. But if that's the only thing that happens, you're like permanently stunted from growth in adulthood. It says, like when I was a child, I thought as a child, ate as a child. When I became a man, I put childish things behind me. Not facing the consequences of your actions is a childish thing.
Okay.
You have to grow up. Part of the growing up process is facing the consequences of your actions. What that means, what that entails. That and again, I got this kid at work, and it's every day, and I know it. I knew it as soon as I met him and talked to him that he was in a position in his life where the consequences of anything he'd done had caught up to him, and it hasn't yet, and it showed out in his work performance because he doesn't freaking come to work. Now, in a normal job, if you no call, no show, if you miss 60% of your scheduled hours, the consequence of that is getting fired. You're not a dependable employee. Unfortunately or not, I work for a wonderful dude that sometimes takes on cases and people that just need the help or need a little life experience or whatever it is. And that's a wonderful thing to provide for as an employer. I think ultimately here in this dude's life, he's doing him a great disservice because the kid's learning like, oh yeah, I just don't have to go to work. It's fine. I'll just go in the next day and everything's all good. I don't actually have to know what I'm doing at work because somebody else will do it.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's definitely doing him a huge life
It
disservice.
does me a disservice because it puts me in a foul mood.
Oh, doesn't it ever?
Hey, you know what? I went to work today and I was going to be cheery.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
didn't work out. So yeah.
But another thing I think feeds into that is the social media and stuff too, because you see people pop off and say things and keyboard warrior, and then when they see people in person,
They get real quiet.
yeah. Here's the thing. I'll say some shit.
Oh,
And I've said some
Becca
stuff
Jones will
and
say
been
some
like,
things.
you know what? Yeah, I probably shouldn't have handled it that way. 100%. And part of that is I will probably never speak to some of those people again. Or, there are other people like, oh, I can't believe she said that. Well, and then
Lord
they
help
don't
them
talk.
if they want to come talk to you.
Here's the thing. I am okay saying that, oh, yeah, I definitely could have handled that a better way. Like,
Yeah.
I have no problem. And if I have to face some repercussions or people want to have an opinion or be a certain way, that's fine. But we see this time and time again, people acting a certain way behind these screens, and then they have to come back into reality, and it's like, motherfucker, you wouldn't have said that. Like, you wouldn't have
Mm-mm.
said that to me in the grocery store. And it's crazy because you see it on people's faces when they do something that is inconsiderate or an asshole move or just real shitty, and you look at them and be like, hey, what the fuck? Or hey, I was standing here, or you do whatever, and you call them out, and you can just see this like deer in the headlights, like, oh my god, I'm having an in-person interaction. I don't have a screen to type
Oh
whatever
yeah.
I want. And here's the thing: then they won't do anything, or they go, oh, you can't talk to me like that. Yes, I
Oh
can.
yes, I can.
Yes, I can. I
Oh,
absolutely can.
here's the thing: if you want to you pop off or run your mouth on the interwebs to me, the socials. If we're not getting along online,
Mhm.
we'll just call it that. If we're not getting along online, don't think we're going to get along in person, because that's not me. If we're not socially friends in the social network, we're not going to be socially friends in the real network in the real world.
Oh yeah, I can stand
Like,
right next to you and not talk to you at all.
don't expect the high fives and handshakes and how you doing. I might give you my regular face from across the way. You might see that. That's not an invitation to come over and say hi. Because if you do come over and say, we're going to continue where we left off.
Oh yeah,
100%.
yeah. It's not a
Like there's dudes that I just will not speak to, and I'm not speaking to them for their well being, not mine, because they don't want to know what I have to say.
oh, what was it like a year ago? We won't get all into the weeds, but somebody was like really shitty to me and sent me a
Oh
huge,
yeah.
huge
Oh
message.
goodness gracious.
And
Yes,
then
there.
I was out pacing someone, and they tried to say hi to me all these months later,
That's
and I
not
just kept
how
going.
we do it.
Had I not been with somebody else who did not need to be any part of that, oh, it would 100% have been a. Are you fucking speaking
Uh,
to me?
yeah, this is.
You have lost your mind. The last time we talked, it was not good.
Yeah,
No, I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
saying
Oh
hi to
yeah,
you.
yeah. We've had this interactions,
Yeah,
haven't we? We
unless
did
I'm
that.
pushing you, huh?
I don't know. Are we in a
I
high
don't
five
know.
now? Yeah, that's weird. Hey, we run into this. These aren't make believe scenarios. This is things that happen out there in the world. Like, people get whatever, and then see like, no,
Yeah,
no, no. It's not like holding grudges or anything. It's just like, oh, this has been made clear. Fine with us. Like, don't turn around on it.
yeah.
Like, yeah, but these are the people that have not faced the consequences of their actions. They haven't lost friendships. They haven't lost business. They haven't lost X or Y or kid. I mean, that's just it. Like, you're not facing the consequences of your actions. And I learned this concept when I was a kid. I was a little kid when I first learned. Like, I remember it. It was like, sounds like somebody needs to learn the consequences of their own actions, because your actions have consequences. And when you don't face them, you remain in a forever stunted state of growth. And this happens in, right, this is why I like going out in the backcountry. It's why I like taking people in the backcountry. It's why I like trail running, because the gap between your actions and your consequences narrows considerably.
And it could be life or death
It can be life or death. And
quickly.
that's the fun part when I take the kids who, for the most part, have not faced those consequences yet, into a situation where they are now directly directly related to their actions. Like, their input has an output. Their actions have consequences, good and bad. And it brings them around, and it's why I love doing it. But we see people that run this way. And this is the frustrating thing, is because you can run and train and race and never face the consequences of your freaking actions. Bad consequences. And you see people dip out at 20 miles of a 50K because they trained like they were going to run a half marathon.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, still, you're not facing the consequence of that. The consequences is the next 12 miles of
Oh God.
dragging yourself through the dirt.
Yeah.
Because and that has to be the consequence, because if you don't go through that, you never change your action.
No,
You
you sure
just
don't.
keep going on and then blaming the race or blaming your stomach or blaming the heat or blaming, like, no, 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 no. Like, you never shored this up. You never trained the way you were supposed to. But you didn't learn anything, because when it got difficult, when you bumped up against having to deal with the consequences, you backed off or you dropped down. Somebody picked you up.
Yeah. You didn't have to gut it out. You didn't have to suffer through it anymore. You got to pull the plug and call it a day. And yes, there's all different reasons why people do so.
Lots
But
of
we
different
are
reasons.
talking
Lots of
about
different
this
reasons.
specifically, this sort of thing, and
And
how
we've
people
gone
change.
over
And
when to do that.
no matter how many times you tell someone, it's important that you have to figure out your calories, and that's going to vary for every person. And you have to figure out your fueling, and they never do it. And then they expect race day, it's just all going to be there. And it's like, no, you don't know how much you actually need. You don't know anything. And a runner can be told time and time and time
Yeah.
and time again, you have to dial this in, you need to dial this in. How does that look? Do you have a solid plan for that? Do you want to talk through that? No, I got it, I'm good. And then it's, oh well, no, I messed that up.
Yeah, I've been telling you for 3 months to find something different than applesauce and Oreo cookies to eat during your run. And now you're on a sugar crash.
Yeah, and that's something, some people have it and don't need to discuss it, and they're good.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes you don't realize that it's an issue till you are facing the consequences of your own actions. And I can't tell you how many times in a race or a run or something's happened. And I go, well, my, this is me facing the consequences of my own actions or inaction.
Yeah.
The inaction I took to prepare or
Yeah.
train or make sure I had what I needed, it was probably the lack of action that got me here. But that's fine. I'm going to deal with this.
You keep on trucking. You keep on trucking because you're not in a place of deniability. And I think what happens when you live in that state of not facing the consequences of your actions, you inevitably develop the victim mentality in life in general. Oh, they did that. They did this. It's not my fault. Like, listen, I like to watch live PD shows, and all of those people aren't facing the consequences. They're getting arrested and still haven't figured out to face the consequences of their actions. They're fighting cops and saying the drugs aren't theirs. It was in your pocket. It's not mine. Well, whose is it then? Who else is putting dope in your pocket?
Carl.
Was somebody else driving the car drunk that hit the pole? Was it you? Nope, wasn't me. Wasn't me. I haven't had anything to drink tonight. Okay, well, you're 0.23. You're 3 times the legal limit of alcohol. No, I'm not.
Hey, they're not
It's
all
just
like that
over
one
and
guy that
over.
admitted to drinking
Oh,
like
God.
8
Oh, my
beers
gosh.
and then passed the sobriety test.
That was the
and
weirdest.
guy goes,
That was.
he's fine.
Yeah, that was weird. That was weird. Never happened to me. Listen, I did a lot of stupid stuff behind the wheel of a car when I was a kid and in my 20s. I'm not the only one that's done it. That was childish. I was childish for long. I don't do that anymore. You know why? Because I've learned the consequences of that sort of behavior. And now I don't do that.
Yeah, we've all done dumb things, and we will all continue to do dumb things. But it is, do you learn from it? Do you move forward? What do you take from it? Or do you let it shape you negatively or positively?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Are you willing to accept that it was your fault? You did the thing, paid the debt for doing that thing, and then moved on, choosing not to do that thing anymore.
Yeah.
Like this dude at the park, he's got no reason not to take those dirt bikes out there again. Yeah. Until maybe a park patrolman shows up and writes him a ticket, or a less patient and kind individual such as myself just stomps them into the ground.
But even still, like, I've had another instance over at the park when they were repaving the parking lot over at Blue, and they had sawhorses up blocking it off because they were paving it so they didn't need cars parking there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, some car
somebody
drove around and then parked over there, and then another lady went to do it, and I said, hey, they've got it blocked off. And she was like, do you work for the park? I said, no, but I'm not a fucking asshole, and I can see the no parking sign. They're going to repave it. They don't need any cars over there. Well, they did it. I said, well, they're an asshole, so does that make you one too? And she was like, I can't believe you're talking to me like this. And she also had an off-leash dog. I was like, also, put your fucking dog on a leash. Who are you going to go tell? I was like, I'm going to walk right up here to the nature center and let them know there's a park ranger up there. So, buckle up.
Called the fuzz on them.
Gestapo.
And I feel like I don't want to live in that. No, I don't want to live in a society where I'm hoping for Gestapo, the jackbooted thugs to come to the park and put a clamp down on the whole kibosh. Like, that's not what I want. I don't like that idea. I don't like that feeling.
But when you see people interact with society and other people like that, it's
But
just like,
gosh darn, I wish they would do just something. Write tickets one weekend. I've told people this. This is my new thing, by the way, and I forgot about it. I say it mostly on the show. Is that they're writing, like I told the last guy I saw with an off leash dog, I said, hey, they're writing tickets
yeah,
over there. I saw a park ranger write
that's what
somebody a ticket
Garrett
for an off
does.
leash. Yeah.
That's what
And
Garrett
then
does.
look, that's the consequence. Maybe they'll think twice.
I would do it as a volunteer.
Hey, listen, I'll write tickets all day long.
Well, I
I
mean,
should probably have been given a ticket or two in the park.
well,
And
remember
this is the
last
thing.
year someone shot a dog and killed
I
them
was
in the
trying not to go
park? I
there. It's a
know,
big thing. We don't want to get into the controversy. All that you need to know is that something bad happened to an animal, and nobody was happy about it.
no one
No
was.
one was. It was a big thing. No one's happy about it. But again, uh, wait, uh, preventable,
It was. Now I will say, they took to social media to rip this
as
guy
they
apart.
should. I mean, not
Uh,
maybe not
uh,
as they should. They
no,
should
he was
not do
minding
that.
his
People
business.
were rambling off and that weren't even there and had no idea. And that's what social media does. And we don't want to get in the weeds on that.
No, but I do want to say, I mean, it was a big German Shepherd that was coming at this guy, and he doesn't know if it's friendly or not. And him and his brother had been mauled when they were
Yeah,
younger, and that's the other thing I
and
think
it
that
was
we
black and white.
forget. And you know, do I believe that we should be kind? We never know what someone has been through. Yes, to a point, absolutely. And that is the thing that I think people forget is like there are other people out there sharing those trails with you that are terrified of dogs,
Yeah, there's other
that
people in the
have
world.
been attacked or know someone that has been killed by a dog, and you letting your dog run around completely uncontrolled, because an uncontrolled animal is a dangerous animal. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
And someone else's dog can provoke them. And then you have a dog fight and then someone gets hurt. I mean, it doesn't,
Yeah.
regardless.
This
You
isn't
just
the anti-dog campaign.
no, it's not. It's not. So, and please don't take it from all that. It's just, it's the having to understand that we have to exist together, and you never know what someone else is going through. So, just like operate within the bounds of society,
Yeah.
like respect people.
Everybody thinks they're special, and that was basically my thought both times as I shook my head and ran away. Was that, man? Just everybody thinks they're freaking special.
Mm-hmm.
It,
Because they all got trophies.
yeah, and they never face the consequence of losing.
Yeah.
I've lost the tournament game, didn't get a trophy.
No.
Like there wasn't a party after losing. There was the sitting with the defeat and the emotions and the crap that you lost, that you weren't good enough that day.
Yeah.
Small consequence, sure, but the consequence nonetheless, and that's what's important. That's what's important to freaking learn, especially if you are gonna. And I don't know how it is for. I don't know women. It's a whole different thing. I don't know women. I know dudes, and I know what it takes to grow up and be a freaking man. And step one is understanding and paying the consequences of your freaking actions. Start there. If you want to raise this little baby, then you need to start by understanding that you're in the freaking wrong. Someone's being pretty cool with you about it, and then not being a jerk, going, yeah, sorry, but we're just trying to get out of here. Do you know the closest way to get out of here? I'd have been happy to help. Go that way. Walk your junk. Anyway, yeah. Consequences of your freaking actions, people, whether it's life or running or raising kids or, I don't know, work, not checking your mailbox.
I don't like to check.
Spoiler alert. If you don't check your mailbox enough and you just leave that joker full up, they'll stop delivering mail. Oh, you didn't want to check your mailbox. Your mailbox is full. They stop delivering mail. You don't get the electric bill. They shut the lights off. Consequence, action, boom.
I've had that happen. And I went, oh yeah. Because I don't really get a lot of, most of the mail goes to my parents' house anyways. But yeah, so what we get here is either for you or junk.
Consequences and repercussions.
And I went, oh man.
Yeah. Anyway. I think that's enough for this week. Good gracious. It's been a rough one. I don't know. I think it's a pretty chill week coming up. We don't have a lot going on.
Yeah. We're going to be working on the arena this weekend. Doing some stuff.
Maybe. I got to go to a French museum with our daughter, Allie.
Yes.
And then, Easter. So probably not a big working weekend for me.
Oh, it's Easter, isn't it?
Yep.
Cool. So is this Good Friday coming
Nope.
up?
Well, yeah, today's Monday, but Good Friday will come up. Yeah.
Oh,
All right. Hey guys, thanks for following along on the Ultra Crude podcast. I'm of course John. With me as always, BMFJ. We appreciate you coming in and being a part of our conversation. If you like it, tell us you like it. If you got a question, please ask the question.
yeah.
And
Did we not have any
we didn't have
questions?
any questions this. I didn't ask for any questions this week, and
Oh,
didn't really get any. So maybe we'll get some questions this week, and we'll answer them on air. Air. It seems weird to say on air. We'll answer them right here next time on.
the Ultra Crude podcast.
Thanks everybody.